that God is right there with you. You're not going through alone. So instead of saying, God, get me out, say, God, give me strength to go through.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's continue to hold on to his hand.
Thank you for tuning into Alabaster Spots with Tiffany Hayes, where we are inspiring and enriching thoughts. Today we have a very special guest on our Author's Choice segment by the name of Serena Harris, who has written the book Ovacoma. Thank you so much for coming on the show and just sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's not a problem at all. So I want to jump right in because, you know, I'm very eager to learn about this book and the inspiration behind it. So tell me, who is Serena Harris?
Well, Serena Harris, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother. I also am the senior pastor of the Good Shepherd Outreach Ministries, Inc., which is based out of Norfolk, Virginia. I'm also the founder of that ministry. I'm a woman who just loves the Lord, and I love being a servant of the Lord. So that's who Serena Harris is.
Well, she said all in a nutshell.
Yes.
That sums it right on up. And I know we were talking before we started airing here. Do you mind sharing with the people how many children you and your husband have?
No, I don't. Collectively, we have 16. I gave birth to 8 of them, and then my husband had 7, and then we raised a niece. So that makes a total of 16.
16 children.
16.
And in the midst of all of that, you wrote this book, or went through,
Yeah.
and then wrote this book,
Yes,
Ovacoma.
absolutely.
So tell me, what can people expect when reading this book?
What they can expect from reading that book, that if God did it for me, he could do it for them. That though it may seem as if all hope is lost for them, though it may seem as though they would never come out of this situation, because that's how I felt at one point in time. But that you can overcome, because just like I believe the first page of the book said, living through it makes you a survivor, but living after it makes you an overcomer. So there is a difference.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a difference.
Yes, ma'am. So tell me, what was the inspiration for writing this book? What were some of the challenges you faced to get you to the point of saying, I need to put this on paper for other people to see?
Well, I just believe that when God allows us to go through certain events in our lives, or certain struggles and trials and tribulation, it's not for us. I do believe that it's for our lives to be a testimony for someone that's coming behind us. And I just believe that there were a lot of young women, even women in the church, who were silently being abused, but didn't actually voice it to anyone for either fear or the fact that they were ready to get out, but they weren't ready to get out, if that makes sense. And so me writing that book, I wrote it with the purpose of being able to be an inspiration to other women, that there is help out there, and that you're not alone, and that even though, you know, everything is topsy-turvy in your life, that through God and with God, all things are possible, and that what you're going through is not for naught. He's a restorer. He's a keeper. Even though at times I felt like I was going to lose my mind, but God kept me.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to get that story out there for others to to be able to read and to see that you don't have to stay in your current situation. Your situation is not favorable, and especially if it's dangerous, that you can come out of your situation. And God is the main source that you can turn to, that you can pull on, that you can rely on to bring you out of your situation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I don't know if somebody's dancing in their seat right now, but my feet started moving right then. So I see when I open up this book that the dedication is to your mother.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your mother and how she inspired you.
My mother, she was a straight shooter, sharpshooter. If she thought it, she said it. She was a loving woman, a kind woman, a funny woman. And she passed, I think it's been about 4 years. Actually, my husband and I lost our mothers in the same year, exactly 30 days apart. His mother died, I think it was November the 2nd, and mine died December the 2nd, in the same year, unexpectedly. And her death really, really, really affected me. But through God, I was able to maintain my sanity, so to speak. And so just the fact that, at one time I could pick up the phone and call her with whatever problem I may be facing. It's nothing like having a mother. It's nothing like having that mother's love, that mother's advice, or just to go just sit up around mama's house or mama's cooking, and she really inspired, me. She always saw, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional.
You're fine.
My mom always saw the best in me. She always saw the best in me. And even before I started in the ministry, she had mentioned that I was going to be in the ministry. And I was looking at her, I was like, no, I'm not, And she said, yes, you are. She said, you're going to pastor. And those words came to pass, and I miss her so. I miss her so. Her sharp tongue, she was just a very witty person. And so I dedicated that book to her because my mother always wanted to see me come out of my situation. And I thank God that He allowed her to live long enough to see me come out of the situation. Not only come out of the situation, but overcome the situation. So.
Tell me how important it is for people to go through it instead of trying to go around the issues.
Well,
I feel like I just hit a topic right there.
You did. You did. I always refer to the scripture about the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace, and the fact that they were in the furnace. Now, God could have prevented them from going in the furnace because He's God. He can do all things but fail. But He allowed them to go in the furnace. And what's so good about God, He is so graceful and so merciful that while they were in the furnace, He was right there with them. And that just does something, to me, that no matter what you go through, God is there. He said, I'll never leave you, nor will I forsake you. And He was right there with them while they were in the furnace. But this is the thing that really stuck with me. After they came out the furnace, because you're coming out, they came out unsinged. They came out with their clothes intact.
Yes, ma'am.
They came out looking just as good as they looked when they went in. And this is the part that really blessed me. If you read a couple of scriptures down, it said, and then they were promoted. You can't get promoted unless you go through the fire. So it's imperative and it's important and it's necessary that you go through the fire. But rest assured that God is right there with you. You're not going through alone. So instead of saying, God, get me out, say, God, give me strength to go through.
Yes, ma'am.
Just continue to hold on to His hand. And so I came up with a plan of my own. A lot of people say the devil made me do it. I'm not going to say it because he didn't make me do anything. He suggested it, and I adhered to that suggestion. But I planned that out. and I did something that I knew that he would have never thought I would do.
Everyone, I hope you guys are enjoying what you are hearing thus far. Please tell your friends about us, tell your church members and your family members. Let's take this word to the world. Please share, subscribe, and like. And remember, if you change your thoughts, you change your life. Thank you.